It's funny, we've done golf balls our whole life, so it's like golf balls make sense. That should be something we can do, and it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole entire life.
Hey, welcome back to the Pace of Change Golf podcast, where we are broadcasting the evolution of golf in the 21st century. This is part 2 of our interview with episode 31 guest Wayne Bosley. So if you're just jumping in, thank you, but I recommend you pause this, go listen to episode 31, and then come back and continue on with the story. Of course, all of our episodes and show notes can be found at paceofchange.com. Now, back to the story of Vision Golf and its co-founder Wayne Bosley. That's awesome. You know what? That path that you just described, I've been doing the hardest thing that I could ever do in my life. That's the narrow way. That's the high road. That's the tough path that inspires people and that brings lasting change. It's a change that, maybe you don't see in your generation, but it's a change that has lasting effects way out there.
Yeah, but it gives you an opportunity, Scott, and you got to understand this. When I was working with Dad and we're doing Titleist, I didn't know who I was. I walked out of school as a 17-year-old into this career. I was the national sales manager at 19.
Right.
Because that's how family things work, right?
Absolutely. I know all about it.
Yeah, but I didn't know who I was. And even I got married at 21 and my boys are in their 20s and that nowadays, but I didn't find out who I was until the last 10 years. And my dad's given me a lot of support, but a lot of space, as has my mother and my wife. And it's been really, really hard, but you don't know who you are until you face adversity.
The reason why that means so much to me is because I'm in that situation personally myself right now. I'm 38 and a half. I'm going to be 40 soon. I haven't thought about 40 my whole life, and now here I am every day going, I'm going to be 40. I'm going to be 40. I'm going to be 40. I feel like a kid. I feel like a kid. I feel like a kid. And I don't know who I am either. I know that I know what I love. I know what I'm passionate about. I know what I care about. And I feel like my priorities in life are pretty lined up. But at the same time, there's still a lot of questions.
No, and it's a much longer trip than you ever thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And my father's take on things is because he's had 2 knee replacements the last few years. Mum's had 2 knee replacements. My meniscus is gone, so all of a sudden I've gone from playing basketball, soccer, golf, and being able to run. And that's why speed golf. I'm thinking, I've been running 9 holes forever.
Exactly.
That's going to be great for me. I can do that. And then I do my meniscus and I'm going, I'm happy I'm walking. And I really looked after myself. And it's
Right.
like I was going to play golf from 50 to 75. I was going to play the senior tour. All my friends are on the senior tour, and then it's like, no, come and play that, or come and play elite amateur golf because you've got time. You haven't got the family stuff to do, and it's like I had that plan, and now I've had trouble walking, let alone running again. So it's that thing in life where you've got to try and look after yourself into your 70s, but what do you do in a recreational manner that doesn't wear out things too quickly? And golf is actually a good fit.
It is, absolutely. If I'm going to run on anything, I'm going to run on grass. I mean,
Grass.
Ever since I've been doing speed golf, I've avoided concrete and cement like the plague. I just spend as little amount as time of my running time as possible on cement, and I do it on grass, or I find a trail or whatever. But I can't do it. I ran a half marathon and injured my knee for like 6 months just because it was on the road.
Hard.
On a hard surface.
Yeah. No, I'm a road runner too, and I had so many problems with my feet in the end.
You said I didn't find out who I was till 10 years ago. All right. And
Mm.
then the other thing that you said was, geez, I had all these plans, and then the unforeseen happened, and now all of my recreational plans, certain plans in life, have to be altered. And that can easily cause somebody to go, to really question who they are, right? Because part of who they were was based in what they thought they were going to do in the future. So, how would you give advice to somebody who's in that situation? How do you not,
Rationalize it.
yeah, well, yeah, rationalize it. How do you get through a process where you have a plan, life happens and it changes, and your identity gets questioned, but you're able to move forward in a positive way?
Well, for me, it's interesting because I don't know. It's the thing with work. Work isn't me. Um, I found a lot of the stuff I did with Titleist when we did the tour thing, it wasn't, and this is where a lot of players got to be confused. My job wasn't so much about looking after them with gear for our promotional purposes. I knew that was my job. My job was to use my budget to allow a lot of Australian professionals an opportunity to help them with their budget, because not everyone used to get sponsored or get
Right.
product.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all I thought I was doing is helping a lot of guys see if they could fulfill a dream
Mm.
and help them towards that. Now, it wasn't my place to tell a lot of them that you're not good enough. I
Yes.
wasn't going to be that guy.
Right.
And I've learned in life, even with my dreams or aspirations, I don't want someone to tell me you can't do it. It's unachievable.
Hmm.
But I do like that one where I know it's better to have tried
And
and
failed.
to have understood the results and to be able to move on. And if you get those opportunities in life, you learn. And I'm big about experience now, right?
Yeah.
I want people to have experiences. And I've got to tell you, living isn't about being happy. I want to feel like I'm alive.
Thank you.
And you know what? I'll feel sad. I'll be upset. I'll be really happy. I'll have success. But you know what? I'm alive.
Yeah.
And I've found I'm back to a person that the little things on how I personally feel. Like I don't really drink. I don't do drugs because you know what? I know how I feel. And I don't, and if I get really upset and I've been depressed, and I've probably had 2 breakdowns in the last 10 years where I've just been overwhelmed.
Right.
And that's also a bad feeling, but it's a feeling. And I can choose to feel that way, or I can choose to experience it, but then I can choose to keep going.
Oh my goodness,
And,
man,
and
that's so powerful.
so you know what I've found, and it's been tough, but I've got so much more out of the relationships, and I think I'm doing stuff to help people.
Right. I think that the older I get, and I think you've certainly realized it too, like it's the relationships. That's what you carry forward. That's what fills your heart with the happiness and the joy that you're looking for in a better round of golf or making it on tour or having a successful business,
So
those
so you know it's about the little things, but it's about everything,
right.
isn't it?
It is. It's about uncomplicating it, I think, right?
I'm di-
We literally create this incredibly difficult obstacle course for ourselves, and we have to jump through all the hoops and do like American Ninja Warrior in order to get to this thing at the end, which is called happiness and contentment.
yeah, but
And
happiness is not real.
no, it's just it's
How
just a
how do you,
feeling.
so if you're happy all the time,
How
how
do
do
you
you know
know?
how do you know?
Well, the regret part is that for those people that do jump through all the hoops and they get to the end and they realize that happiness isn't the thing that they got, a lot of times they turn back around and they look and they go, I could have been happy at the very freaking start of this thing.
And you know that's this thing. Okay, what do you reckon? There's the big deal in life. I believe in karma. the more you can do for other people, I just think it comes back to you. It's just life's balanced, yin yang. You want to be a bad guy, yeah, it comes back and bites you on the ass.
Yep.
But if you find ways and means to help other people without having to feel like you're a floor mat where you're being taken advantage of for being that guy, I think then you have a great life. I think then you're a great person. And I think people gravitate to you and they don't want stuff from you. They want to interact with you. They want to be with you. They want to do stuff with you. They want to help you. And that's the sort of business that vision, that's why I got the visions. Look, the reason I'm going after 12 years is people, they don't feel sorry for me because they see how hard it is. They just want to help.
Right.
They don't know why.
I do want to get into, I want to get into your company. I want to get into, and we talked about the vision of it, which is on the surface, we're making a great golf ball. We're making a great product for recreational players. Deeper than that, there's this internal mission that you have and that your company has, which is we want to change lives. And so take me back to the beginning of that. Was it a natural transition from what you're doing? And how much time was there between the end of your contract with Acushnet and then the beginning of Vision?
In 2004, they were changing the distribution in Australia. So what was happening is Greg Norman's company, International Brands, they didn't hit their target. So the deal with their contract was they were going to lose the agency. And they set themselves up with unrealistic sales projections. And that's how they got our business.
That's how they got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's fine. They failed. But Acushnet's long-term plan was the beginning of when they were wanting to set up all their own distribution worldwide. We always knew that was part of the plan, and we thought we were going to be a part of that process, but we got sidelined with this other thing. Anyway, 2004, I was asked if I wanted to be involved with that. That would mean moving to Melbourne. My family was really set up in Sydney, and I didn't want to be a part of the corporate thing. I'd learned at that stage. Like I said to you, when Dad was sidelined, that was enough. But I went for the job, and I could have stayed with Acushnet, and I probably would still be with Acushnet. But Dad he went around the world. We were either going to buy into a golf company in Australia and he came back with an or. I found these guys in Korea, and they make golf balls, and they are really happy for us to use our ideas, and they'll support us on the manufacturing side. And it was like, cool.
Yeah, because Norman never asked you guys your opinions or ideas.
Never. And on top of that, I've always loved the technical product development. My thing in our relationship, Dad and mine, was he was great for the relationships, but he really wasn't into the technical aspects of any of the equipment to the large extent. He was very atypical of a professional golfer. I don't want to complicate my understanding of my game by knowing too much about the equipment at times. I've got to have less thoughts. Don't confuse things. So my thing was the other way around. I want to know everything. So
I'm like you.
Rather than, it's like I want to know more. I love it. So I'd always been on that. And Titleist, I could learn a lot. But here's the thing. When we had a lot of our own ideas or a lot of our own input into the products, we were suggested that it probably Bill Morgan, in charge of R&D, when we went to the sales meetings, kind of went, you're irrelevant, your information's not really relevant, you're in a little market, I don't know what you don't really, we prefer that you don't worry.
Wow.
So and it's like, and I'm there going, okay, that's probably the side of the business I really love. And when I was doing leadership, I wanted to learn more about the golf clubs. I wanted to be the club fitter guy. I want to know more about that. And it's like, no, just stick the course, do the balls, do the FootJoy stuff. We need to get another guy. But I want to just learn about it anyway. No, it's okay. It's too, don't. Stick with your box. And I'm going, and I'm there going, yeah, but it's boring. I know that business. I want to learn more. I want to keep learning.
Holy
anyway.
Lord.
Yeah. So, Yeah, so the thing was, Dad came back with this opportunity. So Titleist never asked me really what my opinion was on anything. And my job used to be to talk to all the best players and ask their opinion about product and to get perceptions of product and everything. But my opinion, I was never asked. I was irrelevant. It didn't matter.
Yeah, that
Okay.
doesn't make any sense. I mean, you're the guy that talks
I
to the
thought.
guys.
So all I learned, Dad and I were involved with the rollout of the Pro V1 golf ball and the demise of wound golf balls within 12 months. And we made that happen. But we also looked at a company that goes like a Kodak. We've got this technology. We've got IP on wound golf balls. We've got factories. We're in control of it. Oh, shit. Life's changed. We're not going to be doing wound golf balls anymore. and they had a good golf ball in the Pro V1, and Tiger was smashing all the guys, and they all thought, we'll compromise our game a little bit on feel. We want distance, and Pro V1 took off really
That was
quickly.
it, right?
Yeah, but it's a bit of a sidebar, but the Pro V1 wasn't an extraordinarily different golf ball. There was golf balls like that.
Well, it's been, it's important to say that because I think the Pro V1 is still, reigning in its dynasty over the world of golf, is it not? I mean, I don't know if you follow the numbers of the number of Pro V1s that are sold compared to the rest of the golf balls in the market, but it's
It's
still
the
going strong.
Okay, well, you want to know something? Without the Pro V1, Titleist was in trouble in 1999. They were in real trouble. The Fortune brands that owned them was talking seriously about selling them. And if they didn't get their business up to over $1 billion of turnover within, I think, a 1 or 2 year window, they were going to probably be on the chopping block. And that's what the Cobra purchase was about. It was about bringing the golf clubs in, puffing the business up, then
Right.
having the turn to justify it. But in the meantime, they got lucky with Pro V1, and in the course, it's been a superstar. It is a superstar product.
It is. It is. But there are golf balls out there that are better.
Ah, but that good point. But you know what? I'm here, and you say, why did you get into golf balls? How did you think you were going to compete? Would you just make stuff that's like what's already out there? The thing I learned through the whole process of the Pro V1 and its success was how bad the opposition are at marketing against that product, and how much they did not understand how to make a golf ball feel and sound.
All the competitors is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Right.
Callaway,
Right.
Hogan at the time on tour, Bridgestone with their Precept thing, which was really close. Uh, Wilson, they didn't understand how to make the ball sound and feel. There's balls that are longer than the Pro V1. It's not about that.
Mm-mm.
There's been balls that spun more than a Pro V1. Most of the pros at the moment are playing the Pro V1X because they don't want the ball to spin too much. But then they would prefer the ball felt a bit more like the Pro V1. Who knows that? I do. So I'm looking at all these other companies going, they're not in control to the extent they should be. And then you asked a question earlier, did I go to uni? Did I do engineering? Did I do the chemical engineering? What do I understand with the manufacturing? Like, I've learned a lot of it on the fly.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I would say to you, a lot of the chemical engineers that have their name on the patents of the golf balls that are currently in play today don't know always about how it should feel and sound.
They don't play golf.
But no, a lot of them don't play golf seriously.
Right.
And they will always come up with something and then go, what do you think? My thing is, it's a bit of and if you read, I think it's David Sullivan came from Top Flight to Acushnet in the late 90s, and he was the guy that originally did the Strata multi-layer golf ball patent in 1996, right? That's part of that big argument that they had, the big legal battle between what ended up being Callaway and Acushnet over the Pro V1.
Yep.
So the reality was, when I have a look at all the stuff and all his testimony, what he did say is, and I loved it, golf ball design is a black art. We can have ideas of what we can create in the lab. We are not sure what the outcomes are going to be until we play the ball. And that's so much what R&D is about. You don't know what the outcomes are, so you try. And what about retrospective design? Taking a ball, cutting it up, having a look and seeing if you could copy, right? You can't really do that because people don't, if you don't really understand the essence of what it is as an entity, it's hard to do it that way too, because it's just not so defined in a chemistry way with a recipe. Okay, it's just a little bit, there's this gray zone, and it's the difference between excellence, but it's excellence in perception and then performance.
Right.
It's really cool. And it's exciting, right? And you know what, Scott, it's golf balls, and people go, yeah, but they're white and they got dimples. And I'm going, oh no,
There's
no,
a
no,
little bit more involved than that.
yeah,
Right?
but and then here's the latest one. There's been a lot of great golf balls, but then the nature of your market in particular has been we better refresh designs every 2 years. What do? They adjust. Like the Pro V1 today is somewhat similar to the Pro V1 that was developed in 1999-2000. It's a slightly different set of specifications.
Yeah, if you were to ask someone like me, that's a player, I would say no. But every year they come
It's
out with a
better.
new and improved one, and it's better. So my gosh, the one this year should be 22 times better than the one that came out in 1999. I mean, it's crazy, the marketing, and I'm assuming that's what you're going to say, which is they change the color of the sleeve that holds the golf balls. You slap a new design on it. They put the word new and improved. Maybe they make a little bit of a chemical change to the polymer.
Every year what will be, you might get a golf ball design's about pluses and minuses. It's always compromises. I'll give you a bit more spin. I'll take away a bit of distance. I'll give you a bit more spin with a bit more feel. Okay, it's going to feel softer, too soft for some people. We used to have for 20 years players wanting to play Balata golf balls off a 24 handicap because, like with driver purchases, I want to buy the best product I can that the pros use, and that will make my game better because I can buy a better game. Now, for all those 20 years of us having Balata golf balls, they would buy a sleeve of Titleist Tour Balatas, 100 compression, not even the 90s that might actually help. And they go and hit them down the first hole, and they come back to the pro shop after 9 holes, and they've got 3 balls, and they've got little dings in them, they've got cuts and that.
Man,
And
yeah.
they go to the pro, what the?
Yeah.
These are the best balls you've got. And they had already bought their $200 classic pro golf shoes from FootJoy with the leather soles and played them in the water, and then had gone, what happened to the sole of my shoes? They're the best. They don't last. So what happened with the Pro V1? It was durable. It felt better than a Pinnacle, and it went a long distance.
Further than the Balata, right?
Yeah, and it was straighter than a Balata, and
Yeah.
it was straighter than the DT Titleist. So what it did is it allowed the mass market, we're talking about 90% of the market that might get touched by American marketing, to go, I'll try it. And everyone's using it, and it's cool. And then by it being a ball that you could play, didn't matter what your handicap was, and you hit some shots that spun because you accidentally hit them a certain way, even though you didn't know how to spin a ball. It ticked enough boxes that it had the opportunity to be sold to everyone.
Yeah.
There's your sales numbers. And for professional golf balls, that just made it unbelievable. But then there's a question that should be raised. We know that Top Flight had a Strata golf ball for 4 or 5 years before them. And why didn't that have the same results? Okay, it was so hard. It was 110 compression because they always thought they had to have the 100 compression balls for absolute distance, and they did not understand how to make it feel good. And
What are golf ball? What are your What's the compression on your balls now?
well, I'm working on all sorts of compressions, but I am generally working on compressions that are towards the lower end. But I'm not as low as the balls that the super softs or the duos,
Hmm.
because you can go too soft and you don't get feedback. And golf requires feedback in the hands to help judge distance. And even if it's just putting distance, you need to feel the ball off the club face. I played yellow golf balls in the 80s because I could see them. I'm
Right.
colorblind red and green.
Oh,
Yeah, a lot of guys are colorblind red and green. And what it is, we see the colors, but we just don't see them in quite the same tones. Okay, which means if I have a red tee, it can look a bit brown on the
hmm.
ground when it's near green, which all of a sudden that tee could still be in the ground after I used it, and it's in the same spot and I can't see it. Okay, so there's that, which means it's unbelievable. A really bright yellow works better for me than a dull white
Wow.
or a dirty white. And so Jack Nicklaus was playing yellow balls in the 80s. Wilson did a really good thing with colored golf balls in the 80s. They had a lot of touring pros with pro staff, but they did yellow and orange, and it should have worked because, the tennis balls worked in the 70s.
Yeah.
But why did they succeed and keep going? Because the professional circuit embraced it. They spent about 18 months working, and we were in tennis at the time, so we saw the hot reds, we saw the pinks, we saw different variations, orange, and it ended up being that yellow-green color,
Hmm.
and it worked on TV better. And, they did all the surrounds to look and make the ball pop. And when it was seen on TV, the white ball, you couldn't see it when it hit the line. The yellow ball, they
You
could.
could.
So visual, right? And then it's visual performance. I know tennis, the ball moves. So people would say to you, but the ball moves, so the visual cues are relevant. Golf, the ball's static. And I said, no, I'll come on to that in a minute, but no, it's not. There's more to it than that. But in the 80s, the big companies ran out of juice with the concept, because remember, it's always about having a concept, seeing if it flies, run it for a few years. If the sales are there, we keep pumping it up. It didn't work. And they're never patient. They're not in for a 10-year development of
No.
a concept,
But
right?
that's the cycle. That's how, I mean, cycles all take different amounts of times, but you have to go through the cycle.
Mm, without a doubt. So they allowed colored balls to disappear from the elite area. And as you know, yellows, then we had range balls that were white with blue or red stripes.
Hmm. Remember
And then
that?
they decided, actually, this yellow's a good concept because you can see it so well. We'll do it for the range balls so you could see it better. But then I'm thinking, yeah, you could see it better. Why wouldn't you do yellow for your golf balls? It's sort of irrelevant. We're not, they don't sell enough, but it's a good concept. So we got a whole generation that then got brought up with cheap colored balls because you had a pinnacle in yellow for the older guys that found that they could see yellow better. So they did kind of keep a ball in most of the brands in yellow for that reason. So they knew it was a visual cue that worked. They just didn't really believe in it for the mass market. So balls went back to white as general, as popular. Range balls were yellow. Colored balls were a novelty. And we went through 15 years of people thinking that colored golf balls
Mint.
were, and dismissed the concept out of hand, right?
Right, right.
And in 2004, Dad's come back to me. We're going to do golf balls. We got a container of golf balls from our partners, Phantom, their ideas, their packaging. And I learned within 3 months of receiving that stock that this isn't going to work. The white golf ball market was starting to become oversupplied. There was too many golf balls. Titleist was becoming powerful. It was taking market share. And even with the growth in the early 2000s, we know it was it wasn't growing super fast. I mean, the Tiger Woods effect really, it started to wash off a bit. And so when you look at it that way, I'm going, the last thing I had was price. And I'm going, I don't want to be that guy. Selling stuff cheap isn't a future.
Mm-mm.
And look at it today. TVs, they're too cheap. Electrical products, there's a lot of them, they're too cheap. And if they're cheap, people can't get a decent wage. If you can't get a decent wage, you can't afford to buy stuff. But in an American sense, because of Walmart, even though the wages in general haven't gone up that much since the GFC, the global financial. Hey, this is our version of the Great Depression. It's just that we all started with at a higher level.
Right?
But wages haven't really grown since 2008. But why isn't everyone totally up in arms? Things have become cheaper. So with that, even though our wages haven't grown, we've still been able to buy a lot stuff. And it's sort of placated the masses. And even the cost of golf balls, they're cheaper than they've ever been in real terms. So that's still not a business model that was going to work for me. But Dad brought back a golf ball, and it was yellow. And it was from the R&D team at Phantom, and they'd been told it wasn't practical. No one's going to buy it. And Dad showed it to me because he knows I love yellow. And it was a ball that absorbed the light, and it got brighter. And it was a brighter yellow. And it started green, but it became yellow-green like a tennis ball. And I've gone, I love that idea. And we needed to learn more about that. And that was the beginning of, we need our own brand. What are we doing? Well, it's focus, vision. Anyway, I came up with 20 things. Vision was like, it's about visibility. Why do we want yellow? Hey, we want it because it's easier to find. Why do we want it easy to find? Because I wanted the game to be quicker. And I want it to be quicker without rushing. And so in June 2005, I got it's taken me years to get my trademark approved, but June 2005, it was the whole business just evolved from a thought. And it's a color, it's a visible cue, and it's about an easier, quicker game that I really like to play.
Here you are on a decade-long journey now, right? 2005 to roughly now. So it's been a little over a decade, right?
Well, we're 12 years, right?
12 years.
And and here's the thing you've got to say to a person, and this is why I would say to you, I know who I am. I've learned more because you learn more by failure. Unfortunately, you do. It's success. If we were successful in those first few years, I wouldn't have pushed myself as hard as I have to try different ideas, to work out what is it that I have within me to help this story keep going. And every time you get stopped, you've got to take a lateral move to find. It's like those Kenga games. It's that thing where every time there's a block, it's like, no, lateral move, find another way. Speed golf. Virginia with a speed golf thing, when she came to me years ago, she said, this is what we're doing. I go, love the concept. Already know how it works. I know what I like. You need a ball that you can hit, and then you can find it quick, and you've got to trust that you're going to find it quick. You're a really good fit. Oh, you how do you meet? Oh, no, you already know. You're a really good fit for what I want. You sure? What's about the business? I don't care. I just like the concept.
Yeah.
And then yet again, like you would say, it wasn't about, none of these things are about money, because if we can change the game for the right reasons to something that I think it could become, you will be able to pay your bills if you're that guy. If you've networked and you're associating with people that are like-minded. I mean, the people at Silicon Valley, they've done really well for themselves, but they collaborated.
They work together.
It's this thing about recreation, community, engaging with all age groups, and unfortunately, I don't see a lot of that nowadays.
Wayne, thank you for coming on the podcast. I can't thank you enough.
No, I've appreciated it. Thanks again, though, Scott, and we'll talk soon.
Okay. All right, episode 32 in the books, part 2 with Wayne Bosley, the co-founder, along with his dad, of Vision Golf in Australia. I had such a great time getting to know Wayne. I hope you did as well, and that's what we attempt to do every week, is to bring you the innovators, the pioneers, those whose passion is to grow the game of golf, and they found a really creative and niche way to do that. So we got a great community going on here that's building. We want you to be a part of it. So thank you, first of all, for listening. We hope you enjoy our weekly podcast with the thought leaders, pioneers, game changers in the golf industry. You can support our efforts in a few ways, and we ask for your support. Number one, follow us on social media, Facebook/paceofchange.com, Twitter @paceofchangepod. On our website, paceofchange.com, you can sign up for our newsletter, which is going to keep you updated on the latest POC podcast news, announcements, updates, and product reviews. You can also subscribe wherever you're listening. If it's on YouTube, subscribe there and leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the podcast and tell us what you'd like to hear in the future. If you're on iTunes, subscribe there and leave a review. It's so powerful if you could do that. We really appreciate it. All right, guys. We'll bring you another great podcast next week. Until then, pick up the pace. Play from your heart.